Okay, then we have here another factor that try to enhance or affects our agglutination reaction. So we have here the enzymes. Okay, the enzymes, we have here the routine enzyme used in the blood banking. So we have here your ficin. Okay, the ficin here came from the fig plant. Trypsin came from the pig stomach. Then we have here the bromelain from the pineapple. Then we have here the papain from your papaya. So what will be the effects of your routine blood banking enzymes? So it depends here. So it could either enhance the reactivity of your antibodies. So those blood group antibodies being enhanced here by the addition of your blood bank enzymes are the following. We have here your RH, your KID, your Lewis, and the P and the I blood group system. And the following blood group enzymes, on the other hand, is being destroyed by the addition of your enzymes. We have your Daffy, and we have also your M and S. How did you know? How would you know here na na-destroy siya or na-enhance? So like for example, if you are suspecting for the presence of that blood group antibody, tapos nag-add ka ng enzyme. Pag nag-add ka ng enzyme, after addition of that, try to test again. Pag after testing, or after addition of your enzyme and test that one, still andun pa din ang ka-reaction, mean to say, ano yung effect ng enzyme? It try to enhance the reactivity of that blood group antibodies. So pag na-enhance, so just select here kung anong klaseng, so which among this na mga blood group antibodies. On the other hand, after, like for example, after addition of your enzymes, and after that, while you try to check, tapos nawala ang reactivity, so mean to say, ang effect ng enzyme, it try to destroy that blood group antibodies. Then you try to select here among those possible na mga blood groups na present in your sample as that being destroyed by your enzymes. Okay, kanina na we have here another terms here nakalimutan ko i-discuss. So we have here your naturally occurring antibodies versus your immune antibodies. Okay, naturally occurring antibodies are antibodies which are IgM antibodies most likely. And those are antibodies which are already present at birth. So after birth, you have this already type of antibody without exposure. Okay, immune antibodies on the other hand are antibodies which being developed here because of the exposure. Exposure may be in the form of the pregnancy or blood transfusion. For you to develop here an immune antibodies, then previously dapat ang rule natin, magde-develop ka lang ng antibody if previously you are negative for that blood group antigens. Example for that, we have here for the RhHDN or hemolytic, this is the newborn. Like during the first pregnancy, for example, the mother is RhD negative, and then the baby, the father is RhD positive. So since si mother wala siyang RhD na antigen, ito ay na-expose siya sa father na may D positive na antigen, ang mangyayari, itong si mother may expose dito. Pag na-expose siya, magde-develop siya ng anti-RhD antibody. And you consider this one as the immune antibody. Basta yun ang palaging rule natin, you will develop here an immune antibodies if previously you are negative for that blood group antigen. And then you are exposed because of the blood transfusion or even pregnancy, and then you develop an antibody. The problem with this immune antibody, so this is an IgG antibody, so it's a clinically significant antibody. Another thing about this one, once you develop here an immune antibodies, it will remain in your circulation forever. Hindi na siya nawawala. Okay, now we go to your anti-globulin test, or other name for that is your Coombs test. Okay, ulit your anti-globulin here, anti-human globulin reagent is basically try to cross-link your two red cells which has been sensitized with either with a globulin that may be in the form of your IgG or your complement. So, your complement, pwede siyang C3D or your C3b. So, ito siya. If your 2RBC here is being sensitized with the IgG, so you're able to visualize that one by addition of your anti-human globulin. Another one, pwede din complement ang nag-bind dito, nag-sensitize. Another complement here. Anong example ng complement? C3D or C3b. So you could visualize that one by addition of your anti-human globulin. And that's the entire principle of your Coombs test or your anti-human globulin. Again, you are using the anti-human globulin here to visualize your IgG coated or your complement coated results here because again, those are incomplete na mga antibodies. They are small antibodies for them not to be visualized pag sila lang. Okay, so your Coombs test has been first used here for the detection of your RH, hemolytic disease of the newborn. Okay, we have two types of your Coombs test. We have here the direct anti-globulin test and we have your indirect anti-globulin test. Ano pinagkaiba nilang dalawa? So your direct anti-globulin test is basically for detection of your in vivo sensitization. So sinabing in vivo sensitization, nag-bind ang ating IgG dito sa RBC natin or even your complement, nag-bind ito. However, here, ang binding nito ay nangyari sa loob ng katawan ni patient. That's your in vivo sensitization. And that's your direct anti-globulin test. On the other hand, your indirect anti-globulin test, on the other hand, is used here for the detection of your in vitro sensitization. So you try to have the binding or the coating of your RBC with an IgG or complement happening outside the body of the patients is occurring here in the test tube. Kukuha ka ng sample ni patient, lalagyan mo lang siya ng IgG saka or complement by either a reagent or another sample of the patient. And then allows the sensitization here by or allows the cross-linking visualization by addition of your anti-human globulin, only that's happening outside the body of the patient or in vitro. Again, your direct anti-globulin test is a one-step procedure. One step, why one step here? So, since na nag-bind ng ating IgG or complement inside the body of the patient, all you need to do is just extract the blood from the patient. At gagawa ka ng red cell suspension, that's 3 to 5% lang. So, we are expecting na ang RBC ni patient dito, since this is in vivo sensitization, wherein the sensitization occurred already inside the body of the patient, we are expecting that the RBC of this patient here would have already may naka-attach na complement or IgG. To enhance that one, para makita mo nagkaroon ng, or makita mo na nagkaroon ng sensitization, visualize that one by cross-linking by addition of your anti-human globulin. So, one step lang. Unlike here in the indirect anti-globulin test, is a two-step stage or technique. Why is two-stage? Remember here that you try to carry here your sensitization outside the body of the patient or in a test tube. So, una, kukuha ka ng sample mo. Your sample here, okay, or blood of patient in maybe the form of the red cell suspension or serum ni patient. Kukuha ka. Okay, so ito, kukuha ka dito. We have here ito na. Okay, then, para ma-visualize mo, okay, so gagamit ka ng reagent. Your anti-sera here as your antibody, for example, if itong sample mo dito ng patient mo, so anti-sera ang reagent mo dapat, which is your antibody. In this antibody here, dapat IgG ito na antibody as your reagent. So, kung itong red cell ni patient, tapos sa IgG tayo dito, so magbabind siya dito. So, after that one, para mag-bind sila, you carry that one outside the body of the patient or in the test tubes. So, kailangan mo siya i-incubate. So, that's the first step. Second step, okay, you need to add anti-human globulin. It become a two-step technique or stage. So, that become your indirect anti-globulin test, which is a two-step technique. Okay, then we have here the reagents used for your Coombs test. So, again, the reagent here, anti-human globulin ang ating reagent. So, again, anti-human globulin, try to cross-link your 2 RBC, may na naka-attach dapat na IgG or a complement. So, your anti-human globulin reagent could be a polyspecific or a monospecific anti-human globulin. If your reagent anti-human globulin is polyspecific na anti-human globulin, it could bind to your RBC regardless kung ang nag-sensitize sa RBC natin ay IgG or complement. Paano naman ang monospecific? So, very specific ang monospecific natin. So, your anti-hemoglobulin could react only with the IgG na nakasensitize or complement na nakasensitize. Example, kung ito ang ating RBC, IgG nakasensitize, dapat ang reagent mo anti-hemoglobulin is anti-hemoglobulin, anti-IgG dapat. Kung ang reagent mo dito is anti-hemoglobulin na anti-complement, ang nag-bind sa RBC natin is your IgG, it will not react. Okay, so again, there's a difference between the polyspecific and monospecific. Pag polyspecific, so pag positive siya, may agglutination, ano ibig sabihin nun? Mean to say, may nakasensitize sa ating RBC, regardless kung IgG yan or complement. Di ba? So, hindi natin malalaman not unless we use the monospecific. Pag monospecific, if you're using anti-human globulin, anti-IgG antibodies, pag nag-positive yan, so it's automatic ang naka-attach sa RBC natin sa IgG. Pag anti-human globulin natin is anti-complement, pag nag-positive, mean to say ang naka-sensitize sa RBC natin sa complement and not the IgG. Okay, so that's a good thing about the monospecific, only that very limited ang kanyang application kasi kailangan niya mamili kung ano naka-attach sa RBC natin or kung ano ang naka-sensitize, sensitize sa RBC natin for that to have an agglutination reaction. Okay, now we have here the principles of your anti-globulin test. So ulit, yung anti-human globulin is your agent that try to cross-link our RBC which contains here or being coated with an IgG and complements which are gamma globulin. So gamma globulin ang ating IgG antibody or complement as well, kaya nga anti-human globulin. So pwede silang mag-react if dalawang RBC natin ay may naka-attach na gamma globulin in the form of your IgG antibody or your complement na C3T or C3b. How are you going to produce here yung anti-human globulin? So ito lang, human globulin inject natin sa animals since this human globulin ito, mean to say this is a foreign substance in your animal. So because of the product of exposure, your laboratory animal will develop here an antibody. Anong klaseng antibody? Anti-human globulin. Then you harvest this anti-human globulin. Okay, so this will react here with the human globulin. Anong dalawang human globulin natin? IgG or C3. C3b or C3d, which are your complement. So therefore, this anti-human globulin produced here will able to react in the RBC which has been cross-linked or has been sensitized by an IgG or your complement. Okay, so therefore, that's become here the principle of your anti-human globulin test or your Coombs test. Okay, so we go first with your direct anti-globulin test. So again, a direct anti-globulin test, you are detecting here the sensitization in vivo. Because this one is occurring here, the cross-linking or the sensitization of your gamma globulin IgG antibody or complement is happening inside the body of your patients. So just need to extract the blood. So para makita mo nga may naka-attach or nag-attach ang complement or even your IgG, so lalagyan mo lang ng anti-human globulin reagent. Ang sample mo, it's able to visualize agglutination reaction. Okay, so this is not part of the routine pre-transfusion procedure because they have found out that hindi siya ganun ka-sensitive to detect here the positive reaction. So we have here the application of your direct anti-globulin test. So these are actually situations or medical conditions kung bakit nagkakaroon ng in vivo sensitization. The first one, hemolytic disease of the newborn. So nagkaroon ng coating in the hemolytic disease of the newborn. Paano coating dito? Again, nagko-code dapat ng RBC natin ay antibody in the form of your IgG antibody or the complement. So, anong RBC ang tinutukoy dito? That's the RBC of the baby. So, the RBC of the baby would have RHD positive. Then, ang mother, mayroon siyang anti-RHD antibody. Remember, the RHD is a blood group na IgG antibody ito. And because of that, so ang fetal red cell ni baby, may naka-attach na anti-RHD, which is an IgG antibody that came from the mother, that become in vivo sensitization. If you collect the blood of the baby, so automatic ang RBC niya may naka-coat na IgG antibody in the form of the RHD coming from the mother. Another one, hemolytic transfusion reaction. So, RBC nito ay coming from the donor, sinalina ng patient natin. So, ang RBC natin coming from the donor would have corresponding IgG antibody in the recipient. So, since ang recipient mo may IgG antibody corresponding to the donor RH or the donor red cell antigen, so nagkaroon ng prior coating. And therefore, result here to your agglutination reaction or hemolytic transfusion reaction. So, ito-check mo lang siya by addition of by doing your direct anti-globulin test. Another one, autoimmune hemolytic reactions. In the autoimmune hemolytic reactions, so ang antibody mo ay kay patient itself. Pero, ang antibody nagre-react sa sarili niyang red cell antigen. Again, that autoantibody is an IgG antibody. Next, we have your drug-induced hemolytic reaction. So, the patient taking drugs, and that drugs is an IgG antibody. Because of the drugs, it tend to bind to the RBC of the patient, causing here hemolytic reactions. And then to visualize, then you perform your direct anti-globulin test. Okay, then we have here the procedure when you're doing your direct anti-globulin test. So, the procedure for that, just need to extract the blood coming from your patient and then try to make 3 to 5% red cell suspension. Then, try to add your anti-human globulin so observe for agglutination reaction. Ganun lang siya kabilis. Kaya we consider this one as your one-step technique or phase. We have your evaluation of your positive na direct anti-globulin test. So, if the patient will get a positive result, then you need to evaluate the patient by taking the medical history of the patient. Remember that, again, as with the reason for or mga conditions related to your in vivo sensitization are dapat may history ng patient natin, provided the pregnancy or history of the blood transfusion. Pag wala siya, anyway, they have here some questions. Number one is the patient would have an evidence of in vivo sensitization as the patient has been transfused, as the patient receiving a drugs, the patient has been receiving immunoglobulin coming from the outside source. Again, dapat pag nag-positive sa that, okay, direct anti-globulin test, the patient should have an history of that. Kasi most likely, pag wala, it might be ruling out here, baka false positive reaction siya. Or maybe because the patient may autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Other than that, kung hindi talaga siya autoimmune hemolytic anemia, baka false positive result lang ang nakuha mo. Okay, then we have here the pattern reactivity with your hemolytic anemia. So, this is your anti-human globulin reagent. So, pwede siyang anti-IgG or anti-C3d. Remember that your IgG is warm reacting, di ba, at 37 degrees Celsius. So like for example, itong pattern ng reactivity, positive siya dito sa anti-human globulin na anti-IgG, positive din siya sa anti-human globulin na anti-C3d. What will be our interpretation? The patient might suffering here from warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Majority of that, 67%, pag ganitong sakit ng patient, it will give this pattern of reactivity. Pero like for example, positive lang siya dito, negative siya dito, it might also try to be present in your warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia, only that one is occurring only in 20% population. Pag negative dito, so hindi talaga siya warm, di ba? So, pag positive dito, we are considering cold here, cold hemolytic reactions like cold hemagglutinin disease, paroxysmal cold hemoglobinuria, and we have your warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia, only that very small population of reactivity lang, 13%. Because remember na nag-negative siya dito to your IgG, which is indicating na dapat yan ay reactive at 37 degrees Celsius. Since negative siya dito, so most likely hindi talaga siya warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Okay, the next one, we have here your indirect anti-globulin test. So again, your indirect anti-globulin test here is for detection of your in vitro sensitization. So this is actually requires an incubation phase that would allow your reactants to react to one another, but that one is being done outside the body of the patient. So like in a test tube. Then after that one, just need to add here your anti-human globulin in order for that to visualize your sensitization with your IgG antibodies or your complement. So we have here the reactants here. So pwede kayong gumamit. Your sample the patient could be in the form of the 3 to 5% red sa suspension. If you're detecting for the antigen, you could use also your serum here as your sample if you're detecting for antibody in the patient. So your reagent depends kung ano dinidetect natin. Like this one, if you're detecting for antigen in your sample the patient, so gagamit ka ng anti-sera or antibody, which is the IgG antibody. But if you're detecting here for the serum as your sample here of the patient, dapat ang ating reagent is in your antigen. Basta remember here, you are dealing with an IgG antibody that may be found in your sample or even in your agent. Then you add anti-human globulin to visualize that one. Okay, for the application of your indirect anti-globulin test here for detection of your in vitro sensitization, number one, for detection of your incomplete antibodies or non-agglutinating antibodies. So, mean to say, you are detecting for antibodies, only that ang antibody reaction is very, very weak. So to enhance that visualization, then you perform your indirect anti-globulin test. Like what? Like for example, antibody detection, antibody identification, antibody panel identification, antibody titration. So kung ito ang piniperform mo, ang patient natin, since you are detecting for antibody, so ang sample mo dapat ay serum ni patient, and you are detecting for incomplete antibodies or blood group antibodies, for example, specifically for that, blood group antibodies are in the form of your IgG antibodies. Since you're detecting for the blood group antibodies, dapat ang reagent mo is your antigen. And after that, what, mix mo lang siya, incubate, that would enhance their sensitization, and then add in the human globulin to visualize the reactions. Another application of your in vitro sensitization here is for detection of your weak RBC phenotype. Like for example, weak RH phenotype, so hindi mo malaman kung RHD positive pa siya or RHD negative. Baka mapagkamalan mo siyang negative but actually it's just a weak reaction. To enhance, to make sure here na really na positive ba siya talaga or just a weak expression of that or negative ang patient. So your sample would be the 3 to 5% red suspension since you're detecting for the RHD antigen. To detect that one, gagamit ka ng anti-sera, which is your anti-RHD anti-sera. Like, we're talking about parang parang blood typing lang, yung mga reagent natin. Those are your anti-sera. And this is an IgG antibody. To enhance agglutination reaction, then you add your anti-human globulin. So that's your indirect anti-globulin test for detection of your in vitro sensitization. Then we have here the different factors which try to affect our anti-globulin test results. The first one, we have that. Okay, for your direct anti-globulin test, in order for that to have a positive reaction, at least here, your RBC should be coded here at least 100 to 500 IgG molecules, or at least 400 to 1,100 IC3D molecules attached to your RBC for that to have an agglutination reactions. For the indirect antiglobulin test, for both your IgG and your C3D should code here the RBC as much as 100 to 200 per RBC molecules. Another one, we have here the idea serum to cell ratio. In order for you to have an adequate agglutination reactions that should be in the zone of the equivalence, you should have here a serum cell ratio of 40:1. The 40:1 could be achieved here by addition of your 2 drops of your serum sample plus 1 drop of your 3 to 5% of your red cell suspension. However, sometimes here, if you have a weaker reaction, especially if you're dealing with, like if your sample has been suspended in a saline solution, and that's a cold temperature. So medyo mahina ang reaction because of that. Because remember, those are IgM antibodies. Since to enhance the reaction here at 37, which are your IgG antibody, then you try to increase your serum cell ratio. By increasing that one, 4 drops instead of usual 2 drops ng serum natin, 4 drops ng serum versus your 1 drop of your 3 to 5% resin suspension that gives you a 133:1 na serum cell ratio. Okay, another one, addition of your potentiators, again, would help you increase or reduce your incubation time from the usual 30 to 60 minutes incubation. It would reduce here to as fast as 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, addition of your potentiators, that includes your LISS, your PEG, your bovine albumin, 22% albumin. Usually, we are adding as concentration of 2 drops. Okay, next we have here the washing of the RBC. To wash your RBC here should be done 3 times. And the last wash here should be completely decanted. So when you're doing the washing here, so you try to centrifuge and then make sure na ang nagsuspend ang ating RBC at the bottom here, forming a pellet, and then before you try to discard. Kasi pag hindi siya nakastick, di ba, after you try to centrifuge, ang RBC mo doon sa baba, dapat nakastick siya doon sa bottom ng tube for you para pag nag-discard, nag-decant tayo, hindi sila sasama. Okay, then make sure na hindi siya sumama. Baka naman pag decant mo, hindi ka na-form ng pellet at the bottom here after centrifugation, sasama silang lahat, mawawalan ka ng reactants. Another thing on the last wash here, on the ika-third na wash, make sure that majority of your saline has been removed. So, dapat adequately decant. Because pag madami kang saline solution ang naiwan, it could neutralize your anti-human globulin. Pag na-neutralize ang anti-human globulin will able to remove here unbound na plasma proteins. If you add your anti-human globulin, it could react on your unbound na plasma proteins. Pag sinabing unbound na plasma proteins, ito yung mga IgG antibodies natin na hindi sila nakabind sa RBC natin. They are free or unbound found in the plasma. And if you add anti-human globulin, it could neutralize the effectivity of your anti-human globulin. And that's result here to your false negative reaction. Another one, we have your saline use, okay, for the washing. So, you need or for doing your resin suspension, it should be freshly prepared daily dapat. Because if you try to store your saline here in the plastic container, nagde-deteriorate ang pH nito. So, the usual, the recommended pH ng ating saline solution should be 7.2 to 7.4. However, if you try to store your saline in a plastic container over a longer period of time, it try to deteriorate the pH. And that would result to your false negative reaction. Then we have here the centrifugation time. Recommended is 1000 RCF for 20 seconds. But there are some reference naman na 500 to 500 RCF relative centrifugal force for 15 to 20 minutes already enough for your centrifugation. Okay, then we have here the sources of the error. So kindly refer to your book on page 112. So we have here the false positive reaction. There are just some of the false positive reaction listed in your book. So kindly refer to that. Number 1, we have improper specimen. You could have a clotted, refrigerated specimen, over-centrifugation, over-reading time, dirty glassware, contaminated bacterial contamination. That could be mistaken here as agglutination reaction. False negative will be the following. We have inadequate washing because of neutralization of your anti-human globulin. Another one, under centrifugation, under reading time. We have your decreased pH of your saline solution. Then we have also the resin suspension, either too heavy or too weak preparation. So we have here the outline of the steps when you're doing your indirect anti-globulin test. The first one, try to prepare here the 3 to 5% resin suspension of your sample, then you add the serum. Okay, then try to incubate that one to allow the sensitization of your IgG antibody. After that one, perform here the saline washing for 3 times. Remember that the last wash should be adequately decanted to remove the unbound plasma proteins to prevent neutralization of anti-human globulin to prevent a false negative reaction. Then we have here you add anti-human globulin to cross-link here the possible RBC which has been sensitized with your IgG or your complement. Then after that one, try to centrifuge to enhance the agglutination reaction and then try to observe if it's positive or negative. If, for example, the reaction is negative, then try to add here your control cell or your check cell. Your control cell or check cell here is a O cell here with an IgG, usually RHD, positive ito. Mean to say that one has an IgG antibody na naka-attach. So since meron ka ng IgG antibody na naka-attach RBC by addition of this one, dapat pa nag-add ka ng control cell mo, it will give already a positive reaction. It's because meron ka na itong anti-human globulin na. For example, nag-add ka ng control cell, tapos negative pa din. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Number one, maybe you failed to add yung anti-human globulin. So kahit meron kang positive na RBC, may nakasensitize na IgG or complement, pag wala kang anti-human globulin, could not visualize that one. But then again, reality, hindi mo ito malilimutan na i-add ang ating anti-human globulin kasi yellow-green, ay color green ito na anti-sera. So therefore, or reagent natin. So, pag walang green, so ay, hindi ako napag-add. But then again, so it might be because of that. Second one, bakit hindi pa rin siya nag-positive? It's because here na inadequate ang washing natin. It might result here to the neutralization of your anti-human globulin. Okay, thank you.